I first played High on Life when it came out on Switch 1, and while I enjoyed it, the game always felt like it was being pushed to its limits on that hardware. With Squanch Games surprisingly dropping a free Switch 2 upgrade, I wanted to jump back in and see just how much of a difference the Switch 2 update makes. Today we're going to look through some key scenes side by sides, look at where the game has improved, and also highlight some of the quirks I found along the way. Starting with the character models, the difference is immediately noticeable. On the Switch 2 now we have significantly better rendering, in your sister's eyes they finally display properly, and the improved lighting system adds depth to her face and gives her character a more lifelike presence. Human models were one of the biggest weak spots on Switch 1, where they often look flat and lifeless. The upgraded textures and shading now make these moments feel far more natural. A small side note here, just before we get into the bigger stuff, I did notice a couple of bugs on the Switch 2 version. For example, in the intro when you're playing the video game, the barrels don't seem to explode on the Switch 2, while on the Switch 1 you can see proper explosions. I do imagine this will be patched fairly quickly, but I just wanted to point it out. The opening cutscene that's rendered in-game runs for a couple of minutes, but even within the first shots the visual upgrade is clear. Lighting makes a world of difference here, pulling out more detail in the character models and setting a richer tone. On the Switch 1, everything had that softer, scaled down look as the system fought to hold the 30 frames. On Switch 2, the metallic textures stand out with proper reflections. The hood of the car gleams under the light of the base, and the environment around it feels more solid thanks to sharper shadows and improved rendering. Looking past the characters, the base in the background has also seen some upgrades. The textures have a lot more detail, resolution is sharper and cleaner, and objects that were simplified for performance are now properly modelled. The radar dish, for example, has visible wiring, and the dish itself is actually now round instead of blocky. When we first pick up Kenny, the difference is also immediate. The handle now has sharper texture mapping, the surfaces feel more defined, and the higher resolution reduces that pixelation that did stand out fairly strongly on the Switch 1. These upgrades all combine to make the early cutscenes feel closer to the original vision for the game, rather than a scaled down compromise.
Feels so much better, thank you. Yeah, sorry about the spit. I needed to get you infected with the translator microbe. That's on your whole.
The first firefight is where the performance really comes into focus. On Switch 1, this area failed to hold 30 frames per second. My frame counter showed it sitting around 26 to 27 for most of the time, with drops as low as 21 during the busy encounters. The result was a bit choppy and gave an uneven feel to aiming and shooting. The Switch 2 does improve the performance here, but it's not flawless. While the game usually runs much smoother, I still recorded dips down to 27 frames in more intense sequences. That said, the stability is noticeably better, and the higher baseline frame rate makes aiming and movement feel far more natural. The upgraded lighting also helps sell the atmosphere, especially when explosions go off. There's a lot more detail there. All the blood splatters on the wall or the floor, these effects are more detailed and more vivid and stand out, making it overall a bit more satisfying. Once inside the base, these improvements continue. We have the glow of the power cell that actually illuminates the environment now, and the monitors display clearer textures thanks to the bump in resolution. Small changes like this make the environment feel alive, whereas on the Switch 1 it felt sometimes flat and muted, although, admittedly they did such a great job getting it to run on the Switch 1. And finally we get to the city space staging area. This city staging area builds on everything shown in earlier sequences. The resolution stands out immediately with sharper edges and cleaner distant detail, lighting is richer, shadows fall more naturally across buildings, and the added texture quality makes the environment more believable. This scene also gives us a clear performance comparison. On the Switch 1, the frame rate dipped regularly in this area, making traversal a bit sluggish, whereas on the Switch 2 it holds a steady 30 FPS without any noticeable drops. Combined with the visual upgrades, it makes the hub feel smoother to explore and far easier on the eyes.
You don't want to talk to me? Okay, no problem. Yeah, right.
Excuse me, do you have any idea where Gene Zaruthian is?
Okay, I guess you don't need my help.
The Switch 2 upgrade for High on Life makes a clear difference across the board. The character models are improved, the lighting system lifts the entire presentation, and the resolution boost sharpens both close-up detail and background environments. The performance is better overall, and while it isn't perfect, it makes gameplay feel far smoother than on Switch 1. There are still quirks to iron out, like missing explosion effects on barrels, but they seem like minor patchable issues rather than permanent flaws, and the positives far outweigh the negatives here.
Get away! Don't take my shit!
Oh my god. It can't be.
If you played High on Life on Switch 1, the free upgrade is worth checking out for the improved visuals and performance alone. Outside of these visual upgrades, there are a few new features that are exclusive to the Switch 2. For example, we have Joy-Con 2 mouse controls, which are now supported, and they give aiming a different feel and make firefights feel a bit more responsive. The effects quality has been boosted, the textures as mentioned are sharper, and the resolution now reaches 1080p at 30 frames per second when docked. I'm pretty sure it's stuck around 720 on the Switch 1. At the time of recording this video, the Switch 2 upgrade is only available in North America for some reason, and I expect that to change within the next 24 hours. But if you're in another region, you may just need to wait a little longer for the patch to appear. It's also worth noting that the game is a free update for owners of the original version of the game, and I think this is a class act from Squanch Games. I'm also hoping this paves the way for High on Life 2 on Switch 2, but time will tell. Players can also just buy a straight up Switch 2 version if they don't already own the Switch 1 version of the game. Now, since High on Life originally scored 68 out of 100 in my review, largely due to these performance issues and washed out graphics, I think it's only fair to revisit the game now that this update is live, so you can expect an updated, full review for the Switch 2 version as soon as possible.
Microscopic lifespan? That's not so good of a feeling, actually. But I'm numb to it. Oh yeah, that's one of my children!
Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out what'sitlike.com.au.